Arsenal fell to a shocking 2-1 home defeat against Bournemouth, despite taking the lead and fielding their strongest lineup. The Gunners dominated early proceedings and opened the scoring in the 34th minute, courtesy of Declan Rice, who broke the deadlock with a composed finish. In the second half, Arsenal continued to control possession and created numerous chances, but their attacks lacked cutting edge. Bournemouth, on the other hand, absorbed the pressure and waited patiently to strike. And when the moment came, they hit hard. In the 67th minute, Antoine Semenyo launched a powerful long throw into the box, and it was Dean Huijsen who rose highest to head home the equalizer. Just 8 minutes later, in the 75th, Bournemouth executed a well-worked corner routine, and Evanilson smashed the ball past David Raya to complete the turnaround. Arsenal threw everything forward in the final moments, but the visitors held firm. Bournemouth walked away with a famous 2-1 victory, a result that caps off what many consider a highly successful season for the Cherries. A team few expected much from now proudly sits 8th in the Premier League table with 53 points. Under head coach Andoni Iraola, Bournemouth have undergone a radical transformation from a primarily defensive side to a bold, high-energy pressing machine. They now play a brand of football reminiscent of gegenpressing, but with a flexibility that allows them to adapt to different opponents. Their mid-season winning streak helped them pull away from the relegation zone, and they've since established themselves as a team capable of troubling even the Premier League's biggest names, all without the backing of massive spending. Bournemouth apply pressure high up the pitch, especially in the opponent's half. They prioritize spatial control over possession, often luring teams into pressing traps near the flanks, and then pouncing when the ball is funneled into central areas. When they win it back, they transition with blistering speed. And when they lose it, they immediately initiate a counter-press, typically aiming to recover the ball within the first 5 to 8 seconds. Their attacks frequently build down the flanks, with fullbacks like Milos Kerkez and Adam Smith pushing high to create overloads. Wingers such as Semenyo, Justin Kluivert, and Marcus Tavernier often drift inside to create space, making their movements hard to track. Meanwhile, the centre-backs press high, sometimes venturing near midfield, to keep the lines compact and maintain pressure. Among all the bright sparks this season, one name shines with quiet authority: Dean Huijsen. The 19-year-old Spanish centre-back has featured in 29 Premier League games, scoring 3 goals and providing 1 assist, an exceptional return for a young defender. Remarkably, all 3 of his goals have come from headers, each against Premier League powerhouses: Tottenham, Manchester United, and now Arsenal, and each goal helped deliver crucial wins. You won't find Huijsen splashed across tabloid covers or pulling off viral Trivela shots. He doesn't score wonder goals from the halfway line, because in football not everyone is meant to shine under the spotlight. Some are born to guard it. At just 19, Huijsen displays a level of composure, tactical awareness, and defensive presence that many centre-backs spend a lifetime trying to master. He doesn't play off instinct, he plays with calculation. Every run, every tackle, every header is executed with intent. Of course, the road from youth prospect to European elite is long and unforgiving. But if there's one player who inspires belief in that journey, it's Dean Huijsen. He may be a name you don't know yet, but that's exactly what makes his story worth watching. Dean Huijsen isn't a headline-grabbing footballer. He doesn't blaze past defenders like Mbappé. He doesn't split defenses with passes like De Bruyne. And he hasn't scored a screamer from 30 yards out. But he is the kind of player who, when you really watch the game, makes you realize everything holds together because of him. He doesn't play to impress. He plays to do it right. The right position, the right timing, the right mindset. Not of a goalkeeper, but of the final guardian in the back line. In a modern football world that demands centre-backs to be both destroyers and playmakers, Dean Huijsen brings something rare: balance. He doesn't play with youthful impulse. He takes a beat, observes, calculates, and most of the time he makes the right call. Watching Huijsen, you forget he's only 19. The way he organizes a defense, the calm he gives his teammates. These aren't things you teach on a training ground. They're the instincts of a defensive leader, something only a few are born with. Liverpool once found Van Dijk at Southampton, and maybe, just maybe, in Huijsen, we're witnessing the next in line. Not a replica, but a successor. Someone not here to replace, but to carry the legacy forward. If you ask, can he replace Van Dijk? The answer is no, because no one can replace Van Dijk. But football doesn't need a copy. It needs a torchbearer, someone to take the weight and write the next chapter in his own handwriting. Dean Huijsen may not wear the armband. He hasn't played in the Champions League. He's not even a household name, yet. But some centre-backs aren't born to start at the top. They're built to climb it, with intelligence, grit, and a frightening calmness that speaks louder than words. The road ahead is still long. There will be pressure, mistakes, and lessons to learn. But if there's one name you could dare to imagine leading the next generation after Van Dijk, Ramos, and Chiellini, it just might be Dean Huijsen. He doesn't need cameras. He doesn't need the roar of the crowd. All he needs is one team that believes. Because one day we'll look back and realize this story began here, with a 19-year-old, brown hair, quiet voice, and courage louder than any praise. Not everyone is born to replace legends, but some are born to become the next. Dean Huijsen was born on the 14th of April 2005 in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. But his story truly started to take shape in the summer of 2024 when he signed for Bournemouth after a 6-month loan spell at Roma, where he made 13 appearances across all competitions and scored twice under Daniele De Rossi. His performances helped Roma finish 6th in Serie A, marking his first true steps into senior football. Before that, Huijsen had joined Juventus from Malaga's academy in 2021. He rose steadily through Juve's youth ranks and made his first team debut in October 2023, a 1-0 win over AC Milan. Internationally, he started with the Netherlands. He featured for the Dutch U17s and was part of the squad that reached the UEFA U17 Euro final in 2022, even scoring penalties in the group stage against France and Poland. But having moved to Spain at a young age, Huijsen later obtained Spanish nationality. In early 2024, he earned a call-up to Spain's U21 team and made his debut against Belgium in March. His outstanding form in the Premier League didn't go unnoticed. In March 2025, he received his first senior call-up for Spain. Yes, injuries opened the door, with Inigo Martinez out and Pau Cubarsí forced off in the first half of a crucial Nations League quarterfinal against the Netherlands. But it was Huijsen who walked through that door and made it count. He played 49 minutes in his debut match and then the full 120 minutes in the return leg, where Spain triumphed on penalties to book their place in this summer's semi-finals. Luis de la Fuente made a statement. By trusting Huijsen over Raúl Asensio, the Real Madrid defender, the Spanish manager sent a clear message. Potential matters, but composure under pressure matters more. In that tense match against the Netherlands, Huijsen faced a wall of boos from the Dutch fans, unhappy that he'd chosen Spain over the Orange. But he didn't flinch. He played with remarkable poise. And in the return leg, he didn't just defend. He delivered, launching a beautiful lofted ball that cut open the Dutch defense and set up Lamine Yamal's extra-time goal to make it 3-2. When he arrived at Bournemouth, Huijsen wasn't even among Iraola's top options. Signed from Juventus for an initial £12.8 million fee, potentially rising to £15.3 million, it was a low-risk deal that now looks like an absolute bargain. At first, he was limited to a few cameos, including a tough test at Anfield in September. Bournemouth didn't win any of the 5 matches where he played more than 25 minutes, including 3 full 9s. But then came Marco Senesi's hamstring injury, and Huijsen's real opportunity. He didn't waste it. A man-of-the-match performance capped off with the winning goal in a 1-0 victory over Tottenham in early December silenced all doubts. It was clear he could handle the Premier League. At one point, 9'8" tall, You might expect a lanky, awkward presence, but Huijsen is tough, aggressive, and commanding. Among Premier League centre-backs with at least 1,500 minutes, only 7 have contested more aerial duels, and his 64% success rate speaks for itself. Yes, he's 4th among centre-backs for fouls per 90 minutes, with 8 yellow cards, 6 for tactical fouls. But that only highlights his commitment, his edge, his refusal to let opponents pass without a fight. Raised in Spain, Huijsen's style carries echoes of Barca's golden era, Xavi, Iniesta, control and precision. And it shows in the numbers. He leads all Bournemouth starters, with 2+ games, in pass accuracy, 84.3%. In the clash against the Netherlands, his pass accuracy soared to 90.4%. He ranks 3rd among all Premier League centre-backs, with over 1,500 minutes for progressive passes per 90. Proving he's not just safe, he's brave. Defensively, he delivers 2.2 interceptions per 96.7 clearances, per 93.3 headed clearances, per 91.3 blocked shots per 90. And with every standout performance, the spotlight grows. A release clause of £50 million now feels like an invitation, and Europe's elite are circling. Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle, Barcelona. But for now, Bournemouth and Spain have a real gem in their hands. And at just 19 years old, the question isn't how far Dean Huijsen can go, it's whether anything can stop him.